What's up, guys? Today we'll be discussing the Galaxy S21 FE in 2024 here, this mid 2024. This is such an excellent phone, and it's a very interesting device because this phone falls under the 4-year promise, 4 years of updates, and this phone launched with Android 12, so it should technically get Android 16 as well too. So that's what always has been very interesting about this phone, especially considering the price of this phone. You can find, like, this one here is a used refurbished version, and you know, they got these for as cheap as $156 on eBay. This is the cheapest I've seen it, and it's a very slept on phone. I really like this phone. Simply because of that fact. I think this phone gets ignored a lot. But yeah, it's an excellent buy here in 2024. Like I said, considering the fact that we should get Android 16, and it's just disgustingly cheap for the quality you get here. Taking a look at the design of this phone, it is still a very good design. It's really comfortable to hold as well too. Now, it's not a full premium design. It does have a plastic finish on here with a kind of like a little matte finish, but it still feels premium because it does have the metal sides on here. So it still overall feels, you know, doesn't feel like a cheap phone at all. You have that little camera cut out right here, and I actually really like the color choices with the S21 FE as well too. They have some really nice looking colors on here. Now, this one is also IP68 dust and water resistant as well too. So overall build quality is pretty solid on here. It's been holding up you know, since I got it. The display is really good on here. This phone has some pretty slim bezels as well too. That is what I was really impressed by. If you watch my Galaxy S21 FE versus the S23 FE, the S23 FE actually has bigger bezels, so it looks cheaper compared to this one, which I always thought was funny. I don't know, you know, Samsung did that for various reasons, but yeah, the display on here is still pretty much top notch. Just dynamic AMOLED 6.4-inch display. It's 120 Hz HDR10 plus. It's 1080p. It's 403 for the PPI Gorilla Glass Victus on here. It's a beautiful panel here. It's a completely flat screen as well too. I don't really have any issues with the screen on here. It's vibrant. It's everything you could really want. It does pretty decent outdoors and direct sunlight as well too. So I have no issues with the S21 FE's display. Like I said, the display just looking, you know, so thin with the bezels, it just gives it that really nice, you know, modern, fresh feel to it. It looks like a flagship that, you know, it looks like a flagship phone that came out this year. So overall, display is just top notch on here. I absolutely love the panel on here. All right, let's talk about the overall specs, guys. So the S21 FE, it has the Snapdragon 888 processor, which is infamous for kind of, you know, heating up and stuff like that. This is 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. Here's the 3D Wildlife Extreme test. So you can see temperature went from 33 to 37, 6 FPS, 10, and then you can see the battery drain on here, not much. And that was during, like, you know, 1 minute of gaming, I think. Yeah, this score is, yeah, this is like 1 minute test. So you also do have the Geekbench scores here that you can use for your reference here as well. So overall, the performance on this phone is pretty good, but go ahead and launch a game for you guys. Now, when you're gaming on here, gaming performance is still going to be great. You can get, you know, great settings on PUBG at HDR Extreme, great settings on Call of Duty. It can play pretty much most games in the Play Store. I've never, you know, ran into an issue with performance here. And yes, these phones do get warm, and it's pretty much all these Snapdragon 888 phones, they tend to get a little bit warmer than I would like. Now, as a lighter user who's just kind of playing a couple matches, you know, just doing basic stuff on your phone, I've never had like an issue with this phone, like, you know, crashing or getting to the point where the overheating is perfecting the, or it's impacting the performance. So I would say I wouldn't worry too much about the Snapdragon 888 phone if you're not like a super, you know, heavy user doing like crazy stuff on your phone. It's pretty good when it comes to performance. Got really solid speakers on the S21 FE as well too. Really clean sounding speakers, so I think the speakers are really good on here. Now, you do have an optical fingerprint scanner on here, which works pretty well. Again, it's not as fast as, you know, the ultrasonics, but it does work. I don't actually have an issue with this one. And you do have face unlock, of course. Now, one of the things that this phone was missing is the circle to search. When it did get the Android 14 One UI 6.1 update, it just didn't get it for some reason. But it is on the S21, so it's probably because it's not technically, you know, like a flagship, I guess. But it has everything else, like the Samsung desktop support, basically all the other stuff. So that was a little bit strange, but yeah. Now let's talk about the camera quality on the S21 FE. It does have a triple camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel standard, and it does have an 8 megapixel telephoto lens, 12 megapixel ultra wide. It does shoot in 4K 60 on the front and back with a 32 megapixel selfie. So this phone doesn't have any like crazy resolution or anything like that, but overall photos are still pretty good on here. You still get nice, crisp and clear photos, great color, good dynamic range on here as well too. Overall the video is really solid too. I think the photos still look actually really good on here. Of course, like, you know, newer phones, it probably doesn't do as well, I guess, in like low light situations. But this phone overall, it does a good job for the most part. I think it takes great photos. I can't really, you know, find any faults with the photos, especially for this price point. Can't really complain too much. It takes good video, good photos. Also, the lenses are consistent here. The ultra wide is really great, and then you also do have that 3x optical zoom, which also will give you a really nice shot as well too. So overall, I can't really complain about photos and videos, especially at this price point. I think it does an excellent job. Now, battery life is still really good on the S21 FE. It's a 4500 milliamp hour battery, and it's also got the 25 watt charging, and then the wireless and reverse wireless charging is on board. So this phone does, like I said, pretty decent. And, you know, when it comes to battery life, it's not something that I've really, you know, complained about for the most part here. It does a pretty good job of getting through the entire day. So I would rate this around kind of like 6 hours of screen on time. Probably a little bit more if you're a lighter user. But I've never had this phone actually, you know, just die on me in a day. So overall, I really like the S21 FE, especially for how cheap it is. The screen is great. It can still play, you know, most games. The design is still really nice looking as well too. Great screen. Also, you get pretty much most flagship features as well too. And then the most interesting thing about this phone, like I said, is it should get Android 16, which is also very good. So you can use this phone for, you know, a while. So what do you guys think? Would you guys buy this phone? Let me know. I'll catch you guys in the next one.